All right, here we go. We are back with Tyler Jones of the Jones Report. You just heard TJ Reeves preview the NFC divisional games. We've got Tyler Jones is coming in, and he is going to preview the AFC divisional games. Tyler's based in the Midwest. Tyler was in the building last week in Arrowhead for the retirement party of one Ben Roethlisberger. Cool story. He and his father went to the game together, according to all reports that I have uncovered. And apparently, Tyler, your dad is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and you're a big Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Yeah, he's a lifelong Steeler fan, and that was his first Steeler game in person ever.
Wow.
So I got to take him. I was so glad that I got to do that and take him to his first Steeler game and to see his team. For him to get to see Big Ben before he retired was a pretty cool father-son moment. And then on top of that, with my team playing so well, could not have gone any better. So it was a great night there at Arrowhead, and we certainly enjoyed ourselves and certainly excited about the way this Chiefs team is playing right now. We wondered heading into the postseason what Chiefs team was going to show up, as they had that great winning streak there towards the end of the regular season. Then the last few weeks, they kind of looked lackadaisical, barely getting by the Chargers, faltering against the Bengals, and then an ugly win against Denver. But they certainly kicked it up a notch with that win against Pittsburgh on Sunday night.
No, absolutely. And it sets up an epic showdown Sunday night. The Buffalo Bills come a-calling rematch. Buffalo took care of business earlier in the regular season in Kansas City. Josh Allen and the Bills destroyed New England Saturday night last week in the wild card round. Just your thoughts about Buffalo and Josh Allen coming to town for showdown number 2 in Arrowhead.
When the Bills have played at their best, they've been as good as anybody in the National Football League this year. And I think that's what's scary for this Chiefs team,
right,
is that you know what this Bills team is capable of. Last week, they had the most impressive performance probably of anybody in the wild card round with that thumping they put on the New England Patriots. And I think the key for the Chiefs at this game is that you got to keep Josh Allen in the pocket somehow. He is so good when he escapes from pressure, when he scrambles for, extra yardage and such. You got to keep him in the pocket. The good news is for the Chiefs, their pass rush has been a lot better since they brought in Melvin Ingram at about the halfway point this year. So that's the matchup I'm watching for, is what kind of pressure can they get on Josh Allen? And it's beyond just getting sacks and such. If you can just get him under duress, get those quarterback hurries, that type of stuff will go a long way in the efforts for this Kansas City Chiefs team to try to take down Buffalo. I don't read too much into what happened in the game earlier this year when Buffalo just, clobbered Kansas City.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. There's a lot that's happened between now and then, but I do think it's a wake-up call to the Chiefs that this team can beat them, that the Bills are very capable of taking down the Kansas City Chiefs, that they should have the Chiefs' full attention here.
No doubt about it. No doubt. And, to me, a matchup to look forward is obviously Kansas City, the explosive offense. They scored, 5 touchdowns in like 12 or 13 minutes against Pittsburgh on Sunday night. And just and they were overmatched. Pittsburgh clearly overmatched, and Kansas City was clearly the better team. And again, can Kansas City just do enough on defense? Tyrann Mathieu, always a big play guy in these kind of games in the secondary for Kansas City. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Give me a quick thought on Tennessee, Cincinnati.
Man, that one, it's all about what's the health of Derrick Henry. Is he going to be 100%? And what kind of load is he ready to take on? We don't know. And that's the great unknown of this postseason, is how this Tennessee team is going to look with Derrick Henry with his status right now. I think Cincinnati's played some really good football as of late, but their offensive line is horrible. They've given up more sacks than any other team in the National Football League. And so it's real clear how to beat the Cincinnati team is you got to, load the box, go get pressure on Joe Burrow and bring him down, if Tennessee does that, then they'll be in great shape. So that's what I'm looking at, is what does this team look like with Derrick Henry coming back? That all remains to be seen at this point. That's what this game comes down to. Cincinnati playing really good the last few weeks. Their offense has been so explosive. Joe Burrow's been phenomenal this year. Should be a fun one. I lean towards Tennessee, but
I do too.
I very well could see Cincinnati pulling this off based on the way momentum has been on their side.
I think Tennessee's defense has been undervalued a little bit. I think they've got a really good pass rush. I think good. They played much better. Everybody talks Derrick Henry, AJ Brown. They're healthy too. Tennessee's offense is healthy. AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Henry's back. So I think you're going to see a good effort out of Tennessee in Nashville. I think that's going to be a factor with the crowd as well. So before we get you out of here, Tyler, give me an update on Oklahoma. What is the thoughts of people thinking about Brent Venables, and what's the Caleb Williams situation?
Well, the Brent Venables hire was very well received. I think that when you look at this Oklahoma program, that although that they've been very successful under Lincoln Riley and the 5 seasons he was there, they hadn't really improved, that they kind of got stagnant and they weren't physical. And I think that what Oklahoma football fans want from Brent Venables, especially as they get ready towards heading to the SEC, is to get back to playing, physical, tough football again. And they brought in the state strength and conditioning coach, Mike Schmidt, who was at Texas A&M and was under Bob Stoops. They brought him back to Norman, and they're expecting to get back to what we saw in the early 2000s of what Oklahoma was doing and when Brent Venables was a part of that staff. And so I think that's going to make a big difference of sorts, is getting back to playing hard-nosed football and not being soft. And I think that's probably the biggest goal of Brent Venables coming in, is to find a new identity of being a physical football team. And so that's certainly exciting to see. Oklahoma is a unique program because you look at some of the guys on that coaching staff, whether it's Cale Gundy or DeMarco Murray or Joe John Finley, whoever it may be. A lot of these guys have been around for so long. What Brent Venables' job is coming in to Norman, he's not reinventing the wheel here. If anything, it's his job to keep it spinning. And there's guys that know how to win that are already there. And so that's what makes this job unique. I'd be shocked if they didn't take a step back of some sorts with all they lost in the transfer portal, including Caleb Williams. I'd be surprised if Caleb Williams comes back at this point, but the transfer portal giveth and it taketh away. They'll get plenty of guys there as well. I think they'll be right back to where they expect to be within a year or two. It might be a down year in Norman this year of maybe 8 or 9 wins, and that's okay. And then, competing for Big 12 championships and college football playoff spots should be realistic under Brent Venables within year 2, I would expect. So we'll see. It's just a matter of when they get to the SEC. I know Dennis Dodd yesterday put out a report looking at the proposed Big 12 divisions that would put Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in the north, with Kansas and Kansas State, and Iowa State, BYU, and Cincinnati. And then the south would be Baylor, Houston, TCU, Texas, Texas Tech, UCF, in West Virginia.
Right.
With Oklahoma and Texas, when they depart, one leaves the north, one leaves the south. But the future, I think, for the Big 12, when Oklahoma and Texas announced they were leaving, looked real bleak. But now with the solid additions they've made and such, I think at the end of the day, the Big 12 is going to be fine. Schools like Oklahoma State and Baylor are now going to have a chance to step up to the table.
Right.
And Oklahoma and Texas get to be part of the big party at the SEC. I think everything's going to be okay. There are going to be some hard feelings felt, but I think everything's going to work out and be just fine for all parties involved.
No, they're gonna do well financially. They're gonna do a new TV deal, I'm sure, and reconfigure all that, and everything's gonna be fine. And with the health of basketball in that marketplace, in that conference, as well as football, I think the Big 12 is going to be in great shape. And again, you do a great job covering the whole Big 12 for us. You've been a guest on the show, on the podcast several times. Tell everybody where they can find you online.
Easiest way is on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live, and also check out the Jones Report out each and every week on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And if you're a NASCAR fan, I do a weekly show with a NASCAR driver, David Starr, called Let's Go Racing, and that's also available on all podcast platforms as well. So
I was just going to mention, with Daytona right around the corner of the NASCAR season, you were going to be I'm sure you will be all over the NASCAR all the rumors and all the Daytona stuff as we head into Daytona here in early February.
Oh yeah, it'll be here in a few weeks. I'll be down there. It'll be a great time, and I mean that's such a great start to the year for the NASCAR world when you get down to Daytona and Speed Weeks, and we'll be all over that as well. We're going to be doing some live shows down in Daytona for a couple of days, so looking forward to that here in the coming weeks.
Awesome, man. Great. Keep up the great work, Tyler. Thanks for the insight on your sorry about your dad losing with his Pittsburgh Steelers in his first trip and the first game he saw. That's, but the cool thing is he got to see a legend play his last game. Big Ben Roethlisberger, most likely he's going to play his last game. And obviously a great father-son moment for you and your dad in Arrowhead.
Appreciate it, Jason. Best of luck to you, man. You're doing a great job, and always appreciate coming on the show, man.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a great week. And that's the conclusion of the Powers on Sports podcast. We appreciate you finding us. Subscribe, rate, and review on all your podcast platforms. And we will see you next week on the Powers on Sports podcast. Have a great week.